morning and welcome to a very, very soggy Friday sunrise safari, which we've already had. That's a sunrise, of course. My name is Taylor McCurdy, and on camera with me today is Ferg, and he's also doing my lighting, as you can see. Now, what we had planned up here on this termite mound is that the sky was on fire. Maybe you were watching on the dam cam, and I was silhouetted up against the sky, but I'm no longer silhouetted up against the sky, so I shall come back to the car. Anyways, we had all big dreams of lions and leopards and all sorts of things walking past us today. That did not happen. My dreams did not come true. Now I need to find my cable to plug myself in and to get into the car. Right, how cool is that? For those of you who've never joined us on a safari, we will at some point be showing you animals, hopefully, if they cooperate after the torrential downpour we've had the entire night. Ooh, almost couldn't start. Thanks there, Ferg. And if you would like to chat to us, hashtag Safari Live on Twitter, or you can also talk to us via the YouTube chat. Ferg, I've forgotten what we said we were going to do. Oh, we said we were going to go to Chitwa. Now, I haven't particularly noticed this because about the difference of colour of the sun. At different times of the day. You said in the morning it seems to be red, and in the evening it seems to be yellow. I think it just depends on how much cloud cover you have, how much dust particles are in the sky, because all that plays a part in determining what color the sun is going to be. So I've seen, goodness, we would have needed a snorkel there, hey? Sure, it was a deep puddle, might have to go through one of those at some high speed. So that normally determines, because I've seen really red sunsets. Last night the sunset actually was beautiful. It didn't last for very long, but it was very red in color, very much like what we saw this morning. So that really just is what determines it. Yes, and the angle, says Ferg. Are you ready, Ferg?
Absolutely, smash it.
Yeah! My favorite thing, that was a baby one, to do in the whole wide world is go racing through puddles. Yep, even at 25 you can still live a little. So our plan is to actually head down towards Chitwa. Not that we're going to see many tracks today, unless a lion or a leopard or a hyena or a cheetah or a wild dog goes running along the roads now, as all the tracks I would imagine are washed away. Yeah, there's nothing. I can't even see one hyena track just yet. So we're hoping that the animals will be out and walking on the road where we can see them quite clearly. So animals, if you heard that, this is what we need from you today. Oh, I have got some tracks of a hyena. Okay. Well, there was a hyena that was recently running along this road. Perhaps we'll catch up with it. But off you go to Brent, who's also bumbling about and doing a boundary patrol.
Good morning and welcome to a wet Sabi Sands game reserve this morning. My name is Brent Leo Smith. I have the Batman on camera and we are heading west at the moment, and then we're going to get onto the northern boundary and head east. So just before the storm, well actually quite a bit before the storm last night, there were lions roaring to the northwest, and that's where the evokers were last seen, so they could be on another foray down to the south to just cause absolute havoc amongst the lion populations in this area. Now, it's difficult to gauge how much rain we had last night here. I would say at least 20 mils, hopefully a bit more. And it's just started raining again. So it is raining again. So the rain seems to be coming in from the northwest. There are patches of open sky, as you saw with Taylor a bit earlier. And the cloud base is lifting, so it's going to be interesting to see what happens. I think it's probably going to lift before the end of drive, but for the first hour or so we might get a little damp. Now the rain, Leopard Girl, can make them more active or might not make them more active. So in the build up towards the storm last night, with the thunder and lightning and very dark skies, you probably find the big cats would have been active, and it is a great time for them to hunt, because the antelope and prey species, their hearing and smell is compromised. However, that means that a lot of them might be sitting happy with kills all over the place and not moving at all. So It all depends. Elephants are quite active in this weather, but most of the other animals will be sort of drying out after a cold, uncomfortable night, or tucking in. We got a message from Tristan saying turn off their lions roaring. I think we missed it. I think we missed it. So let's go across to Tristan to find out what direction I should be looking for lions.
Well, Brent, I didn't really hear nicely which direction. The pitter-patter of rain on the roof is messing with it, but I think it sounds like maybe southwest, so somewhere along maybe Impala Plains, down that area. What do you think, Bill? Somewhere there. Sounds about that area is where we should be looking. Now, as Brent mentioned, my name is Tristan. On camera, I've got Wiem the Wildebeest, and, well, we are safely dry in the tent for this morning, given the adverse weather conditions that we're having today. So hopefully it will all clear up, and then we can get out and about and join Brent and Taylor out there. But for now, we're going to be inside here, and we're going to be messing around in James's laboratory and see what we can find. We've got ourselves a swimming cap in case things get a little bit too hectic out there. If it starts to really rain, well, then we can just put this on and my head will stay nice and dry. So we'll keep that for a little bit later. We'll kind of put that on maybe if it starts to get a bit wet. It's also protecting something else that I'll show you a little bit later. Now, talking about rain, I know Brent was guessing as to how much rain we've had. Well, apparently, according to the figures from two different sources, we had 24 millimeters at Gowrie Gate, which is pretty much where Brent is now. So it should be a bit wetter there. And then here at Vuurtela Camp, apparently 10.5 millimeters. Now, I'm not sure about those 10.5. I think we might have had a little more. It depends, obviously, which way the rain was falling, where the rain gauge is positioned, and how it all kind of falls down. But 24 is about right. The interesting thing about it is the two gates to the south of the Sabi Sands, so Shores and Newington Gate, which sits sort of southwest of where we are up here, they received 1 millimeter of rain. So they were right on the fringe of the storm and they didn't get any rain whatsoever, whereas us up here have received a lot more, and it seems as though it's going to continue to rain through the course of this morning, which is very, very interesting. And we actually had a look at it, Wiem and I, on the sort of maps of rainfall in Africa. And last night I was speaking to, Jamie was speaking to Brent and I, and we were having a chat, and Jamie was saying that it's been raining a lot in Kenya. And so we had a look. It is the same broad line that runs all the way along the eastern side of Africa that is just full with rain. So there's this kind of belt of rain that's running along the whole eastern side from Kenya to here, which is pretty amazing. So, Dan, not really. I mean, lately it's getting better, getting more like this. So in the last few years, we have been receiving this late April rain, but generally, no. We should be having a situation where we receive rain much earlier, around January, February, but the seasons seem to be shifting later in terms of rain seasons. And so last year we had rain in April, and typically around the sort of Easter period is when we tend to get our last big rain. So I'd imagine this is one of the last kind of downpours that we're going to get before the winter starts to take effect. The temperatures at night and the temperatures even during the day don't have that same edge that they had in terms of heat, and it seems as though it's just starting to kind of tail off a little bit, and it feels more wintry every time we go out. So I think this probably be one of the last storms that we get. Hopefully we get a little bit more, but you never know. It's always difficult to predict these things. Yeah, right. We're going to try and find a whole bunch of things in the tent and try and see what we can get out of it. We'll check a little bit around the tent as well. I don't know if we're going to find too much with the rain, but we'll see. Now, Robert, you asking about more animals after rain, whether we see more or what happens with them. So the difficult part about it is tracking becomes very hard. Most of the tracks from during the night have been washed away. So a prime example is yesterday morning we had tracks for Tundi that went over the dam wall, and that leopard had been seen 6 hours prior to drive starting. We then were able to track her to a certain point. We didn't find her in the morning safari, but in the afternoon we found her coming out of that area, and we managed to kind of get a view of her. So it really disrupts the amount of tracking that we can do and where we can find animals. If they walked before that big downpour, then it's very difficult to find their tracks. So from that point of view, more difficult. Also, a lot of the animals don't particularly like the rain, so they go into cover, and that makes life a little harder. But anything that does walk now is going to be much easier to track because the roads will be quite soft, and obviously it's a clean slate. So hopefully the guys will have some luck out there when they're busy. Now, talking about the guys, and actually ladies, should I say, Taylor McCurdy, I believe, is down to a dam, and I wonder if it's filled up.
Well, it has. I'm trying to think, though, and I didn't take any screenshots from the other night where we stopped here for a beautiful sunset, just before we saw Hukumuri. Maybe you can compare the two images and compare it with this morning, because Treehouse Dam has topped up a serious amount. It looks good. It looks the fullest it's been for a while, which is really, really nice to see, of course. You can see, though, it's starting to rain again, but the clouds are lifting. It's just a drizzle. The only thing, though, is once you start driving, a drizzle is like a torrential downpour in these cars. But those are not little insects moving on the surface of the water today. Maybe a couple. Maybe there'll be a few, but majority of that is actually rain droplets. And what's that, little terrapin? Yeah. Tina the turnip, the terrapin. Tina Turnip, the terrapin. There we go. That's what this one will be called today. Is not enjoying the rain drops falling on her head. Just pedaling along slowly this morning. And I bet they're all going to enjoy the fact that the rain has broken up all the algae that was sitting in the water, sort of re-oxygenating the water. I bet the fish will be happy too. And anything that needs to breathe underwater. Are we going to see African bullfrogs fighting today? Probably not. But it would be... Oh, Ferg. Can we just take a moment quickly to appreciate the gorgeousness? Sorry, I messed it up there. I didn't park very well. It looks great from my view, but we've got the silly rain roofs on. Silly rain roofs ruining our shots early in the morning. Put them in a pot. I think I may need to go back to bed today. But there we go. So what started off as an unbelievable sunrise, it then turned into something, well, not so spectacular, but it's redeemed itself, don't you think, Ferg? Do you think it's going to get better?
It's going to continue being interesting.
Ferg, there we go. Heard it straight from Ferg. He says it's going to continue being...
Weatherman.
Fergus Clark, Weatherman. Is that what the title you're going to go with today? Yeah. Weatherman. I was going to say it like that. Anyways, that's really pretty. But not a lot of birds that have started chirping just yet, so there's no point in having a little bit of quiet time. We will wait for them to find themselves a perch and dry out their feathers. It's going to be a great morning for birding, especially now that the sun is starting to come out too. They are going to find themselves a perch right up in the tops of the trees. You can even starting to hear some oxpeckers starting their day. Right, well, seeing as though the light is getting nice, we better find a cat to view in the golden light. Hey, Ferg?
Absolutely.
I think so. Hukumuri, enter from the right, please. No? No one. It's gorgeous. Look at, even I'm getting a little bit of the golden light now. Look at me. Look at me go. Look at me golden. Well, warm my face up in the lovely morning sun. Brent, I think, is hoping to do the same thing, but he's still searching for lions.
Well, we headed into the area where Tristan thought he heard those lions. So we're just to the west of Impala Plains at the moment. And we're the first people on this road after the rain, as you can see. So, not much in terms of tracks. The thing is, if they walked across here before 2 o'clock in the morning, we're not going to see tracks because the rain would have obliterated. But if they've walked across here since about 3, even with all the rain, we should see tracks. I wonder, this could be the Nkahumas. Just hang on a second. Taylor's got it. See someone calling on the game drive channel. So I'm going very slowly. So obviously, if they have crossed during the rain, Okay, so this is now the area where I want to check very, very carefully. Impala Plains is sort of over there. Now, the Nkumas, of course, have been on in this area for the last couple of days. And who knows, maybe the Birminghams came back from the south. Let's hope Tristan hears the roaring again while we're driving. Okay, I'm going to concentrate on making sure I don't miss a track on this difficult terrain. Let's go back to Tristan, who's got something under the microscope.
Well, we'll get something onto the microscope shortly, but I found it while I was sitting here, and so it is a little seed or a nut from a marula. This is what comes out of a marula fruit when everything is stripped away and there's no longer any flesh or anything like that. But what I wanted to see is often you'll find squirrels who are masters at eating these guys, who break open and get to the nut inside. Sometimes you can see their little teeth marks. So I want to put it under the microscope and see if I can find the teeth marks. I've got to obviously try and get a bit of a focus going here. So I'll try and kind of get it right. But I don't see any for now. Well, you can see that there's quite a lot of fibrous sort of material there. I'm trying to sorry guys, I'm trying to get the focus point right. But it doesn't look like we can see too much in the way of scrapings. Sometimes what you'll notice is you'll get these kind of big grooves that will come down through the nut itself, and that's where the squirrel kind of actually fed upon it. But let's just check out. There we go. Actually, there is some. Now, I don't know if we're going to get it under the microscope. It might actually be better from a normal point of view, but on the sort of, let's try and bring it back and I can show you. But if you have a look here, you see there, Wiem, right over there on the sort of bottom side of that nut, you can actually see that there are some little ridges coming down, and that's where a squirrel's teeth has actually embedded itself and scraped to try and break open this nut and get to the seed inside there, which is pretty cool. So just on this sort of bottom side over there's a few little ridges coming down. The top side they seem to have managed very well. Now normally it's like a little cap, which is this side over here, a little cap that goes over, and once you can just get in underneath that, it pops out quite easy. So if you look at the bottom area here, you can see where it was chipped away, and then it was able to get in underneath and pull that little seed out, which is absolutely phenomenal. So it's amazing how they go about it. This particular seed, or nut should I say, is incredibly hard. I mean, if you try and squash it with your hand, you're not going to break it. It's not going to just pop open like a peanut or something like that. It takes a bit of effort, and if you want to try and get the seeds out of here, which you can get to them and you can be able to feed off them. You've just got to be able to get a knife in and dig it out slowly to get it. But you watch squirrels do this, and it's just quickly and gone, which is pretty amazing. Good, we're going to try and scratch around, see what else we can find, but while we do that, let's send you to Taylor, who's got some spotted things running down the road.
No, they're gone now, I'm afraid. They've run away from us. There were 3 hyena, but they went running into the thicket. Now we can't see them. They didn't like us. We can just smell them now, hey Ferg? Delicious. As probably a combination of the two. Ferg said that hyenas do enjoy a elephant soup. They do. It's actually one of their favorite things. It's sort of the thing that hyenas request most when they run past the camp. So unfortunately, they're just leaving footprints behind. But they've been busy running up and down. But sadly, no luck with them. Yo, they've been busy, hey? The rain doesn't stop the hyenas, that's for sure.
So unfortunately, it seems as though Taylor is having some issues with the gremlins down near Twin Dams. They seem to be around there quite often. Now, I was saying that we had something under our swimming cap. I'm actually busy trying to get it out, but it doesn't seem to want to come out. There we go. That was quite easy. So, as you can see, we've got a very fancy-looking fellow who's got some of the most incredible antennae that you've ever seen. Look at how long they are. They are probably, I would say, maybe 3 times the length of this katydid's body. So, these guys come out at night. We often see them. They are predatory, so they eat other insects. And these antennae are very, very sensory. If I move my finger around them, watch how the antenna will move. in response to my finger. So you see, if I move like this, the antenna goes there. If I move my finger that way, the antenna comes that way. So very, very sensory. Oh, and you can see that they can fly as well. So busy flying towards the microscope screen. So there is our massive katydid with a huge antenna. Isn't it cool? And you can see it's going to crawl around. Now, this would have come out during the course of the night and would have been looking for insects, but it's actually found it in final control. So the one, Jerry, was actually the one who spotted it on the couch. It was taking a little seat. I'm sure it wanted to watch Safari Live. So we decided we'd move it from the couch and put it here in the tent itself. Now, Sandy, stopping animals from getting into the tent, not that easy, actually. You get a situation where kind of you've got to make sure that you close the tent up as best you can, which means that you try and sort of seal everything up, zip everything as far as it can go, make sure all the Velcro straps are tied down, and then just try and make sure that it's like that. But every now and then things will get in here. I always kind of walk in here in the mornings and you have to do a bit of a search and make sure there's no snakes dangling from the ceiling or anything like that. Pretty sure they still get in here and out again, but we try and do that. Things like rats will sometimes try and chew through the canvas to try and get inside here, so we just got to make sure that if we see any of those kind of things that we plug up those holes and so that nobody gets in here, because ultimately if things like frogs and rats get in here, then you're going to start getting snakes and various other things. But spiders, scorpions, those are part and parcel of living out here, and so they'll always get inside. No matter how much you close these things up, they somehow find a way, and that's how we kind of stop their bigger animals trying to get in. In terms of things like elephants and buffalo and rhinos and those kind of things, nobody's really going to try and get in here. There's no sort of situation where there's anything inside here for them. Maybe if somebody left a whole pile of oranges, you might find the ellies taking a bit of time to try getting here, or baboons, but because there's never any food inside here, it means that the animals aren't really interested. I'm surprised that we still haven't found a leopard sitting underneath the awning of the tent that's on the outside in weather conditions like this, because it's the perfect spot where it's dry and comfy, and I'm surprised that we haven't found somebody utilizing it just yet. I would have thought maybe Hosanna or Shongile or one of them back in the day might have decided this was a good spot to sit. Hopefully they won't, because it will be a bit of a surprise coming around the corner and seeing them. So, Meg, the reason why the inside of this marula fruit is called a nut and not a seed is potentially, well, because this situation, this outer casing, is the nut that is protecting the seed. The seed sits inside there, so that little hole there is where the seed comes out. But this whole section out here is a protective casing, effectively. So that's the nut around the seed that is protected inside. So that's typically what the difference is between them. The seed would have been just sitting in the fruit itself, and once it was eaten and fallen to the ground, it would be able to propagate and germinate right from there. It wouldn't be something that is protected. But because of the amount of marula fruits that come out and the amount of squirrels that we have in this area, you often get a situation where, you need a little bit more protection, but the squirrels obviously have evolved to be able to feed off them. And it's interesting talking about squirrels and marula trees, because they reckon that this belt that we're in, so from here in the Sabi Sands, it runs past Kruger in the Kruger National Park and down in a sort of diagonal line towards Mozambique. That belt that runs that way is the sort of highest density of marulas in the world. And they reckon it's because we have one of the highest density of tree squirrels within the entire Kruger Park system. And they think that the correlation between those trees and the squirrels is kind of connected, and that the squirrels help with distributing the seeds and those kind of things, and obviously it's a huge food source for things like squirrels, and that's why there's populations, equally big populations of both. Now, Lara, in terms of birds trying to get towards the nuts or the seeds of this, very few can actually get it open, and very few can actually get to it. Like I say, it really is a difficult thing to do. You've got to get right in there, and even with the blade of a knife, getting it in here is not that easy. You kind of got to go round and round and round and round and round. So the effort is quite difficult if you don't have the right tools for the job. There might be one or two birds that are maybe able to do it. Something like a barbet might be able to, and various others, maybe a yellow-throated petronia, but those tend to feed off much smaller seeds that are easier to manage. Remember also with a bird, it doesn't have the ability of a squirrel to hold it in its two little hands and basically feed off it. A bird would have to use its foot to try and hold it down, and then to try and kind of peck at it, and that's going to move and shift. So it's not going to be very easy for a bird at all. So we don't find birds feeding off these very often. In fact, I have never seen a bird feeding off a marula nuts. It's probably not to say it hasn't happened, but I just have never seen it. You'll find that the squirrels really are the main source, and people are the main source of feeding off these particular guys and getting the sort of seed out of it. Good. Right, now Taylor seems to have fought off whatever gremlin she had and has found herself a rather flabby animal that is walking about.
It's now charging where we can try and get a view from you, but we're too far away. It's a hippo that is out of the water, and I don't know why it is so terrified, but it's now stampeding towards the water. So, oh, they're slowing down now. We'll trick it, we'll go quietly. Go, go, go. That's what you need in slow motion. That hippo is not even running at full speed. It is still going slowly, so you can see those powerful... Oh, it might pop out down there in a little gap through the silver cluster leaves. Natural framing. No, turn to the right. No, let's catch her again. I don't know if it's a her or a him. We'll find out just now. Excuse me, waterbuck coming through. We'd like to watch the hippo run into the water. We'll come back for you. Bye, baby waterbuck. We'll be back. Mom's one on duty, on babysitting duty at the moment. The others have all gone to the shops for the sale. There we go. Dr. Rob, that's really quite funny that you thought this hippo was a car initially. That just goes to show you how massive they are. They are impressive. This is quite a large hippopotamus. I've seen bigger though. On its way back in. But now, hippo, please can you run and do a somersault for us in the water? The others are all watching it come in. Walk, walk. They've got such little legs. It always amazes me how quickly they can run. And until you see it, you don't actually realize how powerful it is. Why have you got your head hung so low? Are you not in the good books with the other hippo? Of course, it's going to go into the water where we just can't see it. Hey, I know that's all right. We're just tucked away behind the trees. It's always funny when the little ones go in because they dive in at such a great speed. The adults, well, they seem to dip a toe in. What are you going to do?
Check the temperature.
Temperature. Yeah, I also do that. Oh, it's too cold. Just sussing it out before going back in. Man. I wish this tree wasn't here. Oh well. Bye-bye. It actually looks like it could have been a young bull. And perhaps not even fully grown just yet. Should we go and have a closer inspection? Yes. Maybe we catch some more hippos. Ooh. We've got some little drips and drops on the lens. Ferg is going to wipe it. Okay, wait. What are we doing now? There we go. Getting the old bog roll out, eh? To do the wipe today, Ferg? Do you think Bex has got something on her eyes? I also think so. I don't know how much off-roading we're going to be doing today. Looks like there was a bit more than 10 mils of rain here. Even the dam looks full. So I'm going to climb onto the dam wall today. We're going to have a look from here. Oh, that's a massive rock. Where did that even come from? I feel like we could... Is that the one James drove into? I'm probably going to have to park like that, hey? It's an awkward one. You see, with the roof, it's a nightmare to try and park. Oh, there we go. That's not too shabby, eh, Nige? Hello, hippos. Yeah. Woo! What was that splashing going on? The dam really does look like it's got more water in it. It's filled up nicely. I don't actually think they pump water into this dam. I'm trying to think. No, I don't think they do. If I'm telling stories, Tristan will fix it for us. Well, not fix us, he'll just tell us the truth. Oh, hello, little baby hippo. Now, Rosetta, hippos typically sleep in water. They're actually going to get ready for bed now. Can't you see they've got their pajamas on? Some of them have even got their eye masks already over their eyes because, you know, they're busy at night. They come out of the water, as we've just seen, to graze. And then just before morning breaks, most of the hippos, of course, are back in the water already. However, there's always that one that stays out later than the others. And he was obviously having a lot of fun with his mates last night. So they'll come into the water and then they'll sort of sleep. They'll rest their heads up on one another and do all those wonderful things. Sometimes on a coolish day, if there's a bit of sun, you'll see them actually leave the water and sun themselves on the bank, which is quite nice to see. But I have yet to see that in the Sabi Sand. I've seen it once or twice, but you see it a lot in Zambia on the Zambezi River, all sunbathing. Now, depending on what's going on outside in terms of sort of how much rain we've had, how much food is available, Susie, that's going to determine how far the hippos go. Go, pied kingfisher. Catch a fish. Yes. No, didn't get anything. No, nothing yet. So in winter, when all the vegetation tends to disappear, you'll find that hippos have to move a lot further than they are at the moment. There's lots of grazing around, so there's no need for them to travel sort of enormous distances. But an average evening, if they walk about 8 kilometers or so, that's about right. But in the winter months, they can sometimes walk up to 10, 20 kilometers. And in 2015, the hippos were having to move a serious distance. Hey, you're doing quite well, little pied kingfisher. You might be catching small things. No. Well, there we go. You can see it's a persistent little bird, this one. It seems as though Tristan has got some visitors coming for coffee at the tent.
Do indeed. So we've got a beautiful Nyala bull that has come down and is slowly meandering through the thickets. You can see its camouflage is incredible when it's behind the trees, and then it'll slowly start to emerge in the open grass, and then it gives itself away with that dark brown coat. But the reason we came out here to investigate was not because we saw the Nyala, it's because the impalas were shouting a little bit and making a few alarm calls, and then there were some squirrels alarm calling. So I don't know if maybe, just maybe, somebody's moving about in this area and causing a little bit of havoc. Maybe there's a situation where there's a little sneaky predator walking around. They haven't gone completely crazy yet, so I don't think they've seen anything, but maybe there's something in the breeze that's causing them to try and kind of go and to start sort of calling. It seems as though it's going to still carry on raining for a little bit. It's broken up a bit to our west, but it's a little bit still rainy in the north. So I wonder if maybe there's a cat that's just trying to move around. Like I say, lots of squirrels alarm calling to our western side at the moment, and a few little snorts from the impalas. Now, the impalas could be reacting to the sound of the rain, as well as the fact that they can't really smell much because the rain is falling, and the squirrels are alarm calling, so they react to the sound of the squirrel in order. You can hear them now, actually. So the squirrels are all alarm calling to the west. Now, Andrea, I'm pretty sure the impala that you're hearing alarm calling at the dam cam is the same impalas up here on quarantine. We're not too far from the dam cam. I don't know if they may be more on the dam cam itself that are alarming, but the alarm calls that we could hear were coming right here from this herd that we could see. So it's an interesting kind of thing at the moment. Maybe there's more, like I say, maybe the lions have moved down that way, or there's a leopard hanging around, but something is definitely upsetting everybody. The Nyala seems fairly chill. He's not too worried about things. If we hear him barking, then we know things have gone a little bit kind of pear-shaped. So I'm trying to, well, not pear-shaped, but there is definitely somebody out here. Now I'm trying to just kind of walk forward a little bit just to check. There's a few termite mounds that are in this area that sometimes are worth just having a look for, and so it's worth kind of just having a scan, especially to this western side, because there's often a little bit of action that side. Now, Christine, leopards do walk past this tent regularly, so we have a situation where I've seen walking right past this tent, Hosana, Shongile, Tandi, Hukumuri, Tingana. So pretty much all of them. In fact, yesterday, Hukumuri walked between where we are and the final control building, which is less than 100 meters away. And so he walked straight down the road, past all the vehicles, and in towards Gallego. So they do walk around here a lot. There's a little drainage line that runs very close to us here. So you do find them walking in this area. What I tend to find, though, is that they don't actually cut through the bush towards the tent. They typically go on Gallego and then onto quarantine, or they'll use the drainage line to move between quarantine and Gallego. They very seldom actually walk through this thicket it, and particularly now when it's very wet and damp and long grass, you're going to have a situation where a lot of these animals are going to try and avoid walking through the grass. They prefer to walk on the roads, which is hopefully going to help Brent and Taylor. Now, talking about Brent, let's send you back across to him and see how he's faring, if he's got any sign of those lions that were making a noise.
Well, I think those lions might be west of our boundary, unless they moved before sort of 11 o'clock last night when the first big rain hit, because there are no tracks. We only saw 3 sets of tracks on the whole of Triple M: 1 aardvark, 1 kudu, and 1 duiker. Those are the only 3 sets of tracks we saw. And some impala tracks here. So those are the only 3 sets of tracks we saw. So I'm just doing a slightly more inside Djuma loop than the boundary in case they did cross before the big downpour, which would have obliterated the tracks. Now, after rain, quite often, leopards especially like to go scent mark all their old spots that their scent might have been washed over. Patrick, the Birminghams may or may not come back. It all depends. If there's females in estrus down south of us, they will focus on breeding and mating, and the scent marking won't faze them too much. Well, I said there were some impala tracks. There are the culprits. 2 wet-looking impala. It seems to... There might be a bit more rain coming in from the north at the moment. You can probably hear it falling on the roof. I think someone's trying to call Tristan, but I think they mean me. Standing by. I've just finished checking Triple M, nothing there. I'm now going Zoe's to Impala Plains. I think that audio is from inside Arethusa. So there we go, so just checking. If those lions might have crossed before the storm, it is possible, and we wouldn't see any tracks. We're just doing a little check a bit closer in. Now, the rain is always an advantage to the predators, Beth, especially the build-up before a big storm when the wind's whipping and it's very dark, there's no moonlight, no stars. So the predators utilize that. Okay, so there's always a good chance Hukumuri might appear on this area as well as Shidulu. So we'll keep our eyes open, and generally the wild dogs are very active in this weather, and who knows, fingers crossed they might make an appearance this morning. Then you'll see me throw a roof off a car. When he's following wild dogs with a roof, it's probably near impossible. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to head up, check Impala Plains quickly, and from Impala Plains I think we'll come back on Mendoza Road, and then we would have checked this western sections thoroughly, almost every single road here, and if we can't find any sign of anything, we'll move on and see what else we can find in a different area. Now, Hukumuri quite often likes this area, Shidulu, but so far, no trucks. It's not to say they're not here. As I say, they could have moved into the area before the rain set. Now, Tristan had Tundi yesterday, Ginger. And so far, no news on Kalamba. Taylor had tracks, we think. So there is a possibility it's still alive, but Tundi's behavior at the moment is leaning towards that the cub has been killed. And there is always a possibility, but with the current leopard dynamics that are happening in the northern Sabi Sands, I'll be very, very impressed if that cub even makes it to a year old. I mean, you've got 3 unknown males cruising around. You've got Hosana, you've got Tamba, you've got Hukumuri, and all of those pose a threat to Kalamba. So does Shidulu. If Shidulu decides to start pushing Tundi hard for more of her territory here on Djuma, then there's a good chance that even Shidulu is a threat. So little Kalamba is faced with multiple threats from all sort of fronts at the moment. Okay. Still not a track. We have seen 4 tracks until this very moment. What is that? There's a hyena track that has been rained on. So there's a hyena that was actually quite a while ago during the rain. And you can see normally hyena tracks are very, very easy to see. But even after, that was during the rain. Anyway, it sounds like Taylor's left Chitwa Dam and she's off exploring Chitwa. So let's see if she's managed to find anything or get any updates.
Dora the Explorer is who I'd like to be referred to as today. I think that's fine. Do you think so? We're trying to get you a bird, but it's always very difficult when we've got the roof on. Not good enough. Back we go. Another 300 kilometers. Beep, beep, beep. Make sure that we don't drive into somebody. Oh no, now we've come into another obstacle. Still not high enough.
Let's give it a test.
No. Yeah. That is what we're trying to show you. And now we've got a Marula tree, which is also sort of, climbing into shot.
That's good. Adds a bit of texture to it.
It does add a little bit of texture. Quite very artistic. Nice one. So that is a very wet Wahlberg's eagle that we can see sitting up there. Does not look very impressed this morning. I mean, obviously it would have been nice if we could have been super close to it, because then we could see its facial expression and all its wet feathers. But sadly, we've had to reverse. We must be about 80 to 100 meters away from this bird in order to put it on camera. Let's hope we don't have any leopards and trees. Otherwise, Ferg and I'll be throwing this roof off of the car very quickly. What did I...
We'll get up the high lift jack.
We will get up the high lift jack. I think if we just land on our backs and used our feet and kicked it off, that would also work. But like I said, it is going to be a good day for birding, just not a good day when you have a roof on your car, because it makes it difficult to try and see them. But this is what they'll all be doing, is sitting up on perches like this, letting the wind ruffle between their feathers to dry them out, and then hopefully the sun will make an appearance a little bit later, although it does have a bit of cloud cover to burn through. Why are you still here, Wahlberg's Eagles? You must go home. Start your journey back north. I mean, they normally leave by the end of April. Maybe push it. Maybe you can say till about May. But even then, it's still quite late. I've been seeing a lot of Wahlberg's Eagles flying around as well. Brenda, you feel sorry for this eagle? No, you don't have to feel sorry for it. Yes, it is slightly bedraggled, but in no time it will be looking beautiful, as if the sun was out and shining. Wonderful. Right, let's carry on though. Unfortunately, we're very varied, so far away from this bird. Okay, I don't know what we're looking for. I was hoping to try and find Tengana's tracks. So, frankly, you're all but confused as to why I called Ferg Nige a little bit. Yeah, what is it? What is that saying? Oh, no, I've forgotten it. What did I say, Rebecca? Okay, not too shabby, eh, Nige? Wasn't it from an ad in South Africa? I'm pretty sure it was a TV commercial, and this guy goes, "Oh yes, that's it." Okay, so basically where this ad came from, there's a TV ad in South Africa, was like a tiling center, so you can go and get your tiles or your taps and toilets and baths and showers, basically a shop like that. And I don't know, the whole thing is, the catchphrase of the show is not too shabby, eh, Nige? Obviously, because I must have been really young when that ad was out, and I still remember it. So there we go. Maybe you can try and find it and put CTM not too shabby, I'm sure, on YouTube. That should pop up. That old ad will pop up. Maybe we'll try to find it. We can watch it together. Hey, how does that sound? South Africa has the best adverts ever. Not so much these days, but back in the day where there was some crackers. They are so funny. I think I've told you I've shared the Doom one, which is my absolute favorite ad ever. Which is, yes, it's so great. It is so hilarious. Where they're stomping around trying to get the cockroach, but also trying to impress the grandparents. It's such a great one. I'll have to share it again. But the Nige one is good. My favorite is the Tabasco ad as well. Another favorite. I like all the things. This guy has these mosquitoes flying around. Is it an American one? Oh, it's an American one, so then you should all know it. And yes, he puts the hot sauce on his pizza, takes a bite into it, that mosquito lands, sucks blood up, and as it flies away, it explodes. I mean, that's a cracker as well. That's so good. I guess I haven't seen any tracks of Tingana just yet, now that I'm reminiscing about all the cool ads. I'm filthy. I cannot believe how dirty I've got already. It's probably the steering wheel and then I wipe my hands on my pants. I figured it out. Oh well. Sorry, laundry ladies. No luck with leopard tracks, just hyena tracks everywhere, and impala tracks, and also waterbuck tracks. So very similar to what Brent has been seeing on the road. We're seeing down in the southeast as well. And no updates on the radio. I've been listening. Something about lion tracks somewhere, but I couldn't quite hear where. Maybe we'll bump into Ali. She's driving around on Chitwa today. We might see her and then get an update. See how we can annoy her. No, I'm just joking. We won't annoy Ali. We only like to annoy Rebecca. It's the only person that needs and deserves to be annoyed in camp. Okay, which is the next bird that is going to be drying itself out? I think it's going to be a hornbill. That's my personal guess. What do you think, Ferg? Go-away bird is another goodie. So there we go. Either we're going to see a hornbill drying his feathers out, or perhaps a go-away bird. One of the two. I'm not going to be able to do any of those birds. They're too high up in the tree, unfortunately. Oh, yes. Very cool. Okay. Right. I'm going to send you back across to, well, the new host of the show, because he's stolen James Hendry's spot. Let's go to Tristan.
Well, it was better turn that off, and that's not a very good start. I don't think so. I think James is still the master of this tent and master of what goes on in terms of hosting of shows. I just play around in here and have fun, and, well, like I say, I'm not anywhere near the same level as what James is when it comes to hosting. But I know a lot of you have been asking, Taylor and myself, and I think some of the other crew have shared a whole thing about the Webby Awards. Now, if you don't know what I'm talking about, Safari Live was nominated for Webby Awards, and a couple of you have been asking how to go about sort of voting. It was a situation where we were caught by surprise, actually, funny enough, because it's not something that we entered. It was just a nomination that was done, and we were then told that we were part of the Webby Awards. And for those of you that don't know what the Webby Awards is, essentially it is an awards for anything based on the internet. So they have this whole big awards for anything, content that is produced on the internet, whether it be live or normal or websites or anything like that. And so Safari Live was nominated for 3 categories. And a lot of you have been asking on Taylor's page and mine as to how do you actually enter it and how do you vote and how the process works. So I thought I'd run through it quickly quickly with you guys. We are going to do a post about it on the Safari Live Facebook page during the course of today. So if you haven't voted or you want to vote, you can just head off to there and it will show you what to do. But I'm going to just show you quickly off a link that I have to show you exactly how the process works. It's pretty simple. It's not very difficult. And so once we go through it, hopefully most of you will be able to vote, and hopefully Safari Live will get some recognition from it. Right. So basically on the page, when Safari Live does post it, it'll look very similar to what this does. This is the block that says Webby Awards People Choice, Vote Needs You. And then there will be 3 links that will be there. So these are the 3 different categories that we were nominated in. I think one is animals, one is live Facebooks, and I can't remember what the third one was, but they're all 3 of them. And basically all you're going to do is just click on the link. The link will take you to another screen, which will hopefully come up at some point. So it will then bring you up onto a sort of Webby Awards page, and everything will pop up. It'll tell you exactly which sort of shows are on and have been nominated. You'll see then there's the Safari Live over there, and then basically all you're going to do is click vote. So you'll click vote like this. It will then tell you to sign up to vote, which is very easy. You just click on that and you just put in your email address and create a password, and you say save and continue. Now I'm not going to put mine in because I've already voted. And then the thing is that once you've put in this password, and this is the important part about all of this, is that your vote will not count until such time as you verify the password. So if any of you have voted and you haven't verified that you have got that email, so you'll get an email and you need to just verify that you got that email, and that will then cast your vote and you can go in and check. Then once you kind of have done that, just go and double check. You click vote and you follow the process like I've just done right now, and it will tell you you've already voted for this category, and then you know that everything is all good. So that's how you go about it and how we do it. So now, Betty, you say Safari Live is the best thing on the internet. Well, we hope so. We hope that you're enjoying it, and hopefully it is providing some entertainment for all of you, and that you're all loving it so far. And so hopefully there'll be some recognition on that sort of award situation. It would be nice for everybody involved, I think, to have it. So I believe that we are doing well in 2 categories, but not so well in another category. Apparently there is a goat that is beating us somewhere along the line, which is a little bit unbelievable. So hopefully we can get above the goats. We don't want to be beaten by goats. We want to be the ones that provide good animal content, not goats of anarchy or something like that. I don't know. Anyway, it will be interesting to see, and so we'll kind of see how that goes. But like I say, if you want any other sort of information, just head to Safari Live's Facebook page. Now, sadly, we have taken down the carcass cam. What's happened was the batteries, so it was running on a bank of batteries, and the batteries died, and because the carcass is pretty much done, there's very little there. Brent was telling me yesterday morning, he went there, and he said there's pretty much nothing left. And so it was decided that because the equipment is there, and it's obviously there's game drive vehicles that go and visit that site, and there's cameras and all those kind of things, we decided that we would take it down and kind of move it out. So it was never going to be a permanent thing, and obviously we put it up as quick as we could, for as long as we could, and hopefully you all enjoyed watching the carcass cam. It was very, very interesting for us as well. Now, Eugene, elephant bones, some of them will be collected for the tent. We have been given permission to get some of them, particularly the skull. But the problem with elephants is that those bones have now stewed in rotting flesh for just under 2 weeks, and the smell that comes off them is about rank as you can imagine. And it will take probably 6 months to a year until those things lose those smells. So what we need to do is we need to kind of recover them and then probably bury them somewhere for a while and just let nature take its course, particularly the skull. There's going to be still brain matter and all kinds of things that are buried deep in there, and we want insects and various other things to try and clean that up for us. So even though it's finished in terms of a sort of large animal point of view and pretty much nothing there, it still has this residue smell on it, which takes a long time to get rid of. Now, there's other ways to kind of make them clean and those kind of things, but they all require a serious amount of work. So we will get them into the tent eventually. It's just about having to kind of prepare it and get it to the point where it doesn't stink this entire tent out. Right, now let's quickly send you across to Brent.
I'm not sure which leopard this is. I actually found it on foot. He was about 3 meters from me. It looks like a male. Could be Hukumuri. And it's spotted a warthog. I think it's a warthog or a duiker just beyond it. Is this Hukumuri? difficult to see from behind. Okay, I need to move around to the other side of the termite mound. But we found these tracks. I said to Craig, these are really fresh. We shot down the road. I was half expecting to find a leopard in the road. We didn't. So I stopped where last tracks, and I walked back up the road, looked with my head at the ground looking for tracks, saw nothing. And then as I turned around at a different angle, I could suddenly see there was a leopard about 3 meters from me. Oh, he's on the move. I'm not sure who it is. I think it's Hukumuri. Now, I did see some form of animal that it's been stalking. I'm not sure whether it was a warthog or a duiker or a steenbok. Does that look like a Hukumuri, or does he look too small for you, Craig? I think it's Hukumuri. I'm not sure. It could be one of these. I don't know if it is Hukumuri. Looks too young. It does look, I don't know. Could be Hukumuri. Tristan thinks it's Hukumuri. But my heart started pumping when he was only 2 or 3 meters away from me. And Craig was sitting in front of me in the car. And I just started sort of giggling, childlike excitement. I was like, oh, there's a leopard next to me, Craig, there's a leopard next to me. And we were really lucky to find those tracks. I mean, when we did. Can you see what he's stalking, Craig? Okay, I'm just going to move forward a little bit. It's a pig. Is it a pig? It's a pig. And there's a couple of them just jogging about. Where's he gone? Oh dear. You see him? Hold on. Oh no, there he is. He's still stalking that pig. So they've just come out of a hole in the termite mound behind us. And he's now planning his attack. He does like warthog. If it is Hukumuri. So the pig's obviously jogging off to the right slightly. Where are you going? Oh dear. Oh, this roof could be problematic for us. Watch out, Craig. He's jogging. He's sprinting away. I think he's just trying to... Whoop, hold on, cut off. Craig's wiping, sorry, while I'm trying to keep up with the leopard. So, I'm just trying to find a way through this very thick area with the roof on. Last place I saw the leopard was here. You see him, Craig? Oh, there he is. So the warthogs were heading in this direction. So he's there, the warthogs. There was 3 or 4 of them. And they were heading towards where we are now. You can see how he stopped, he's listening. He's trying to see if he can hear them in the grass. Bex, let's just wait a little bit. The pigs might have changed direction. Sorry guys, Rebecca's asking if we should do an unscheduled and let our people on the other platforms join. I think not just yet. I'm just trying to see if I can spot the pigs at the moment. Does look like Hukumuri, doesn't it? As we saw those tracks, I just knew they were really, really fresh. There was only a couple of little rain splatters in them. Well, the nice thing about this time is I nearly stepped on him and he didn't run away. He just crouched down in the grass and watched me. So maybe he's learning. Here's the master disappearing. I hope he's still behind that little bush. You see any movement there, Craig? Let's just go make sure he hasn't slacked off behind some other bushes. Yeah, there we go. Here's the master. Oh, here's a beautiful cat. Gorgeous. He obviously wasn't successful in catching dinner last night and is still on the hunt this morning. See, I was just listening carefully. I'm just trying to listen with him. You can see his body language changed a little bit. The warthogs might have headed off in a slightly different direction. Oh, yeah. Okay, I'm just trying to find a open area through here to stick with him. Hold on, Craig, there's a bit of a hole. There we go, now we can see him a bit more clearly. It does definitely look like Hukumuri. Isn't that beautiful? Oh, so lucky to find tracks that fresh after rain like that, because often on mornings like this you can struggle for big cats. So I just need to be on the game drive radio quickly, just to let everyone know. if I ever get stations located Wanuna Ingwe in the block between Zoe's, Rebecca's. There we go, that's definitely Hukumuri. Over. Isn't that gorgeous? Listening intently. And you can see we're keeping our distance at the moment. Sorry guys, the radio's just going off. A-firm, we have visual. So, for those of you, where's my map, who were wondering where we are, we are there. Pretty much just in this top corner between Rebecca's Road and Zoe's Road. But we found him on Rebecca's there. So not too far from camp. So he must have crossed into Djuma last night when before the big storm, because there were none of his tracks coming across from the west. So he probably waited out the worst of the storm. Oh, he's on the move again. Waited out the worst of the storm somewhere around Impala Plains, that area. And then as we came along Zoe's, we found his tracks going down towards Rebecca's. Okay, we need to move again. An eye on him, and so we've got our rain roofs on, so we've got to pick our lines very carefully. Okay, I'm going to try to get ourselves in a good position again. While we do that, let's go see what Tristy's got for you in the tent.
Well, good luck, Brenty, and well done on finding Hukumuri. He can be elusive at best, and it seems he loves Rebecca's Road. I think that's the same place that we found him the other day. And it's interesting, I was just listening to Brent, and he was saying that he doesn't run away on foot, and that he's getting better. But in my experience with him, I don't think I've seen him run from us on foot yet. He seems to be a leopard that just goes straight down. As soon as he sees you, he just seems to lie down, because the 3 times that I've tracked him on foot, he's every single time just lay down and not moved. So he's an interesting kind of leopard in that regard. I think if you stop and stare at him, he's going to run, but just kind of walking past him and seeing him and carrying on, generally it seems as though he's not one of the runners like some of the other leopards we have, which is cool. So hopefully he'll continue to be like that, because it makes life much easier when tracking them and trying to find them. Now, while we've been sitting here, I was thinking I'll have a look at our little frog. You might have seen it in the background a little earlier. This is a frog that was mummified, and we've done a few segments on it over the course of the last few weeks in the tent, but the ants got stuck in and started to feed off it, and I thought the ants were actually going to eat absolutely everything, but you can see the ants have stopped. So what they've eaten is everything that is soft. You can see they've eaten the nostrils, the lips, the eyes, and a little bit of the leg area, and then into the body cavity itself. So they've eaten away pretty much all of the internal organs. Anything that I think was soft enough to actually break down is what the ants went after, and they've left this hardened sort of mummified skin left over, and you can actually see what a good job they did of it. They've completely cleaned it out, and the good thing about this, and why I'm happy that they did this, is because it's a situation where they've actually left enough skin to hold the entire bone structure in place, which for me is pretty cool. So we can now see some of the little bones that generally probably would have been lost had they taken all the skin away and had not provided the rigidity for this kind of structure to stay together. And so what I want to do is I want to actually have a look at the ribs of a frog, because I've never actually been able to kind of see the ribs, and so I want to put it under the microscope, and then I'll just focus it out and try and get it sorted. But there we go, that's actually very cool. So, sorry guys, I'm just trying to get the focus right. But there you can see, I'll focus on the vertebra first. There you can see tiny little vertebra that go down the spine of the frog, which you don't get to see very regularly at all. Normally we kind of see frogs hopping about and we can't actually see their skeletal structure at all. But they've got very similar spinal kind of column as what a human would have. It kind of runs along and then ribs coming off of it. And the ribs themselves, which I'll try and focus on now. Sorry, the microscope has got a very sensitive focal range, very shallow depth of field. So I'm just trying to get it roughly. There we go. So here you can see the ribs coming actually off of this sort of spine and coming down to try and protect the casing or to protect the internal organs. What interests me with this, though, is that you can see when the ants ate, they actually ate a lot of the intercostal muscle between those ribs. So there's sort of places where it's been eaten between and then other places where they left it, which I'm surprised about. I would have thought they would have eaten all through that intercostal muscle and kind of gone through that. And then the skin itself, you can see, has gone a kind of bluish color due to the mummification process. But isn't that quite cool? I think it's amazing to be able to see this sort of skeletal structure as well as the sort of places where ants have fed. You can actually see the little individual mandible kind of bites as you go along the sort of fringe of the skin itself. Very, very cool. And the vascular system that was in the skin as well. Absolutely amazing to me that we've able to get in this. And it actually looks like a bit of mold that is also grown on that intercostal muscle. Now, white team viewer, is that what you said, Rebecca? I think that's what you said. YT viewer, that's right. Are there any poisonous frogs? So banded rubber frog is toxic, which is a beautiful frog. It's one of our favorites, and I know Taylor absolutely loves the banded rubbers, and so does Brent. And basically, it's this little black frog with these red bars on it. Super, super beautiful frog, but it exudes this toxin that is not very good, and so you got to be a bit careful of them. Generally, toads as well can be a bit of a problem, but none of them, in fact, actually not many of them here will kill anybody. So there's none of the real toxic ones like you get in some of the rainforests of South America and places like that. But the banded rubber is probably the most toxic of the frogs that we get in the Djuma area. The rest of them seem to be okay and can be fed on by various different predators like herons and the likes, whereas the banded rubbers seem to get away with it. And they're the only ones that have that bright coloration or aposematic coloration, which is those bright reds and blacks and those kind of colors, greens and black, yellow and black, which signify to animals that they are toxic. So that's the only one really. Good. While we scratch around now in the tent and see, we might head out given that it's stopped raining. Let's send you back across to Brent with Hukumuri.
Well, he's just melting through the grass at the moment, still in search of those warthogs. They're still around here somewhere. He is a good-looking leopard. Now, the reason I initially thought it was Hukumuri was because of the size of the tracks. The tracks were so difficult to see in the hard ground that we couldn't see the distinct back right track where he's got an injury and his one claw doesn't retract. But in this area, this is where we mostly find Hukumuri as the dominant male in this area at Paulo. But when you can see him, each set of leopards has a distinct set of spots, like a fingerprint. So normally we use the top line of spots above the whiskers, but in Hukumuri's case, he's quite distinctive looking. There's lots of different spots that are quite unique. And he's coming out right in front of us now. And he's not starving, but he could definitely use a meal. And he seems very intent on hunting in this cool weather. So he didn't take advantage of the storm last night. Now, he is hunting pigs, and YT viewer, a grown warthog would satisfy this leopard for at least 2 days, possibly even 3. He had stashed it up in a tree, provided he didn't drop it. Okay, we need to try reposition again, and just looking for a route with the roof. But it would definitely satisfy him for at least 2 days, possibly 3, depending on whether it's a male or female. Male warthog, even 4 days maybe. Just got to be careful. He is very good at disappearing. Not because he's avoiding the vehicle, just because he's in that stalk mode. So he can just slink away. You see him, Craig? There he is. He's jogging again. Now, he's not jogging away from the car. He's jogging to get closer to his potential prey. It looks like he's back on the road. Now, most big cat hunts, Kent, are not very successful. Oh, look, he's seen the warthog. He's running now. Hang on. I just need to try and figure out where he's going to go. I actually think he's tracking the warthog scent now. And he's back on the road. See, this is exactly where we found his tracks this morning. Kent, so only about 10 to 15% depending on the leopard. So I'm trying to see the warthog tracks. Yeah, there's some warthog tracks on the road now. So he's on their trail. Now, what we're watching for is when his body language changes completely and he sort of starts crouching down, which means he thinks he's getting a lot closer. So his plan nearly worked as he came up through this area. They just went a little bit wider of where he was waiting. Now, it all depends, Eve. Leopards can be incredibly patient. He could hunt one animal for 6 or 7 hours sometimes. Other than that, they might give up in 10 minutes. It's just very dependent on how hungry they are or the circumstances of the hunt. And see, he's jogging on the warthog tracks, goes straight down the road. Actually, Hukumuri might have missed him. Some of the warthog tracks crossed here. As I said, there were quite a few warthogs, so he might be on the trail of a different one. I can actually see some of the tracks in the road as well. It always amazes me how animals have... Oh, hold on. He just pounced up to the top of this termite mound. So when, Craig? Good. So he's using the bush on top of that termite mound to hide his presence up there while he sees if he can spot those warthogs or any other potential prey for that matter. And at the moment, I think he's just checking out the area. I don't think he knows exactly where any potential prey is. He is gorgeous. He's just coming into his prime at the moment. He'll be he is already a serious force to reckon with, but it's only going to get more so as he gets slightly bigger. I think he's still got a bit of growing to do. It's listening. I'm also trying to listen to see if I can hear anything in the grass. Now, often warthog will take over an aardvark burrow in one of these mounds, but Philippe, there are no burrows in this mound. So his body language hasn't told me he's seen anything yet. He's still just checking out the area. Just lost sight of him there, and there's a big stump in the grass there. Oh, he's moving back to where we were a bit earlier. So probably to where he lost the scent trail for those warthog. Watch out, Craig. Oh dear, another big stump in the grass. Okay, we're going to try and follow him through this area, see if he catches up with those warthogs. In the meantime, Taylor McCurdy's got a feathered friend.
Look, our luck is starting to change. Well, at least the luck with our wet friends, the birds. We've got a very damp gymnogene or African harrier hawk. Squirrels are shouting. There are lots of birds shouting. They're very, very unhappy that there is this beautiful creature flying around. It's been trying to raid some nests. Maybe it's actually not even doing anything. Perhaps it's just minding its own business this morning, trying to dry its feathers off. And it's not even able to do that without upsetting all of the little creatures out here. Let's see if it's going to clamber around on this knobthorn. Oh, they're so cool. Look at the way that it moves. Hopping from branch to branch. They've got incredible balance. Often peel back bark too, looking for things like scorpions. Even if there's a little snake that's living in and amongst the bark, you can see it's searching at the moment. Working really hard. Indigo girl, I'm so glad I found your favorite bird. Here we go, it's quite nice. And it's putting on a show for us this morning too, by not flying away. Look how busy the head is, looking up, looking down, probably responding to any sounds that it hears. You can imagine if you are living in between the bark, I bet it makes a bit of a scratching sound. Well, I wouldn't know, but I'd imagine it would be a sound like that bird would also be listening out for. So not just relying on its eyesight, but also relying heavily on its hearing. Not just flying another short distance to another branch. There we go, see, looking in between those pieces. Also try and find any holes. Oh, let's go to Brent.
Okay, he's caught up with the warthogs. He's just behind a pole. Craig spotted the warthogs. There it is, just through there. So there's a couple of them around there. Okay, I think it's time to let everyone else join us for this live leopard hunt. Let me move forward, Craig. Welcome everyone. We are with an adult male leopard who is busy sneaking up on a group of warthogs that don't know he's here. The grass is long. It's been raining all night. And this is very, very exciting. This is 100% live from South Africa. My name is Brent Leo Smith. I've got Craig on camera. And the male leopard we're following is the Hukumuri male. I'm just going to try sneak forward here a little bit so we can see him. He's just gone into some thickets here. So the warthogs are milling about just up there. And you can see we don't follow directly behind the leopard as not to interfere with the hunt. We're here to observe. So we're just going to try to put ourselves in a position where he's going to come through towards the warthogs. Okay. Just try. So there's a warthog right there. There we go. And he's somewhere just to the right, and this is the very thick grass. Somewhere in here, stealthily sneaking towards those warthogs. Well, hi Ron, who's in snowy Michigan. Ron, I love the leopards as well. Now this particular male leopard is really, really fond of warthogs. It's one of his favorite foods. Now, Roshni is hoping that he gets some breakfast. We hope so too, Roshni. Now, the warthogs will have just been waking up and coming out of their burrows. So they sleep in disused aardvark burrows at night, and in the early morning they'll head out to feed. Have you spotted him yet, Craig? So what he's probably doing is he's moving his way. There's a little line of thickets, and he's trying to get into the best position to possibly the warthog actually walking towards where he's going. So he's somewhere in there. I think pandemonium could absolutely explode at any second. Unfortunately, the bush is quite thick here, so we've got to be very careful not to interfere with the hunt, either in the leopard's favor or the warthog's favor. There's another warthog about to walk through. There we go, just to the left slightly. So look, there's 2 warthogs that I've seen, but there could be as many as 4 or 5. Warthogs live in sounders, which will be, there we go, that's 3 we know of already. Warthogs, so there'll be some related females and their offspring. Oh, this is so exciting. Remember, this is 100% live from the Sabi Sands in South Africa. Now, the wind is blowing from the warthogs towards the leopards, wisteria. That's why the warthogs are not smelling them. Okay, I'm just going to try sneak forward another meter or 2. Just want to, if we can't see the leopard, it's okay. We just want to make sure we can keep an eye on the warthogs. Craig, tell me if you've got a good view of the warthogs. So he snuck in here, into these thickets here, using that as cover. He must be so close to the warthogs by now. It's quite difficult to see how old the warthogs are through this very long grass path. We might have a better view in a couple of seconds. Just going very, very slowly. Now, often birds will alarm call at leopards. MK, it's probably because they're still waking up after this wet weather we're having. We had a lot of rain last night. So the warthogs disappeared in here. Okay, we can see the warthogs. There's at least 4 of them that I can see. Okay, they're just through there. We still can't see the leopard, but he is around here somewhere. The wind is in the leopard's favor at the moment, but after all this rain, even a little bit of wind, a lot of the scent will have been dampened. So we can't see him at this very second. But he's close. Oh, it seems like the warthogs, I'm not sure, they think something's up. You can see that listening very carefully. Now, warthogs have a fine set of defensive tusks. Now, the big tusks that you can see sticking out of a warthog's top lip are not the ones that can do real damage. The ones that do real damage are the bottom tusks that rub up against those top tusks. They're called tushes, and they can be as sharp as a razor blade and can do some serious damage to leopard or lion. So for those of you, including Hansi and Laura, who've just joined us, we are with a male leopard who's busy stalking these warthogs. We can't see the leopard at the moment, but we can see the warthogs, and we're trying to stay away so as not to interfere. So there's at least 3 or 4 warthogs in this long grass through here. You can see them moving, but we don't know where the leopard is. But he's on their trail. Oh, I think they've spotted him. I think they spotted him. I saw a warthog tail go up. No, maybe they're not. They're still there. Now, where is this leopard? Now, a lot of animals out here seem to have sort of a sixth sense when something's trying to eat them, and only about 10 to 15% of leopard hunts are successful. So that's the last warthog that I can see, the one right at the back, the one that's probably in the most danger at this very moment. You can see that there's almost sixth sense kicking in that there's danger around, and they're starting to. They might have got a whiff on a swirling wind. Okay, let's see if we can find the leopard again. Now, he can jog big distances. I just want to have a quick look through here. To where he could have gone. Some big holes that I've got to be careful of. Now, as I said, only 10 to 15% of hunts are successful, and Dion is asking why is that such a low percentage? But Dion, if it was a very high percentage, there'd be nothing left for all the animals to eat. I wonder. So last place we saw him was going in here, around like that. Ruth, it's very unlikely that the leopard's going to be in a tree, because he's hunting warthogs on the ground, and if he was in a tree, it would be very difficult for him to leap out. It's quite a fallacy that leopards hunt from trees often. They very occasionally, in very certain circumstances, will pounce down from a tree. Most of the hunting and stalking is done on the ground. dear. Now, it looks like we've lost him for now, but I'm going to try see if I can find him again. If you want to follow the story of the leopard hunting the warthogs, just Google Safari Live and you should find us bringing you this live for 6 hours a day, every day, from the African bush. From Craig and myself, we're going to try find this leopard. Bye. Okay, everyone, now, I'm sure he's around here somewhere, but going to be finding him now is going to be quite challenging. He just chose a very difficult spot for us to see what was going on. You see him? Craig thinks he's seen something, so let's go have a look. I always find it amazing how a lot of the prey species, even without having seen the leopard, have that sort of sixth sense that something is stalking them. We're down here, Kruger. It's the warthogs. Okay, well, I think it's safe to stick with the warthogs for now, because he's definitely going to be still stalking them. Back or forward, Craig? Okay. Let's just move here. How's that? So, the one thing we do know, his target is the warthogs. So, we've got to, we'll stick watching the warthogs, and hopefully he appears somewhere close by. Now, warthogs, as I was talking about a little bit earlier, have those very sharp tushes that they use for defense against predators. And David, yes, indeed, I've seen warthog turn and charge a leopard in defense of themselves and particularly of their babies. So, yes, they do. And you can see the warthogs are looking a little bit more relaxed now. So we can't see him now, but there's 3 warthogs just in the grass up ahead that he's been stalking. So I'm pretty sure he's somewhere just off to the right of us, slowly but surely following those warthogs. Now be warned, if he does manage to catch one, it is very loud and quite disturbing, because pigs do squeal quite loudly. So, as I say, the last place we saw him, his general direction was down, using this cover behind here to try and get towards those warthogs. We haven't seen him in a good couple of minutes now. But that's not unusual. He's probably very close to the ground. I think Patrick's spot on. I also don't think we're going to spot him till he actually makes a play at those warthogs and chases them or charges them. So the warthogs are slowly moving, so I'm going to try and move around to see if we can still keep our distance so we don't interfere in the hunt, and see if we can keep watching those pigs. Let's try and go through here, I think. There's some big holes around, so you've got to be careful. Well, it seems like Tristan has escaped the tent and is now on Jigger, so let's see what his plan is.
We are indeed. We've decided to ditch the tent, given that the rain has stopped, and to mobilize on Jigga and see what we can find. But before we carry on any further, I'm actually going to show you guys something that we found just now. Now, I didn't want to touch this little fellow because obviously our oils on our skin is not very good for them. But there you can see a very small bushveld rain frog. So we're going to release him again now. I found him just down the road. It wasn't far at all. Walking about in the grass. Actually, William spotted it. And so it's a beautiful, tiny little bushveld rain frog. How cool is that little guy? So the reason why, like I said, I didn't want to pick him up, and in this long grass, we wouldn't have been able to see him very nicely. So we just use this little container just to scoop him up. And that means we don't have to touch him or harm him in any way, or her, should I say. It doesn't really... Now, Rebecca, you say it looks like a little helium balloon. It does, doesn't it? And you can see with my finger there, it gives you a kind of size comparison of this little guy. Let's try and sort of tilt it forward there. There we go. It's about the size of my forefinger nail. And you can see it's breathing, big, angry face. Look at those eyes and that mouth kind of turned down. Looks as angry as you could ever imagine. They're such cool little things. I love these guys. Oopsie. Now, before he tries to kind of hurt himself, I'm going to release this little fella. I don't want it to get too stressed out. I just wanted to show all of you guys because it's absolutely amazing. And I'm going to pop him down in the grass over here. Wiem, let me know when I'm far enough that you might be able to see him, because what I want to show you is just how incredibly well camouflaged these guys are. Wiem, I'm going to put it here. Is that okay? That's fine. So let's put it there. Come on, little one. Out you go. Come on. No, it doesn't now. It doesn't want to go out. It's been trying to climb out. There we go. Can you see it, Vim? So you can see how small it is. It's going past some scrub hair dung at the moment, and it's the same size. And look at that camouflage. Isn't that incredible? Now it's gone up onto a little thing, and it's now walking towards the car. Why are you walking towards the car? You're not going to walk towards the car because I don't want to drive over you. I think it's just trying to find a little bit of brush that it can kind of hide in. So cool. Not every day that you get to see little frogs like that. So that's a really epic way to start the day. I know that Taylor absolutely loves frogs and frogging, and she was hoping for some bullfrogs, but these little bushveld rain frogs are a close second, that's for sure. Right, now what we're going to do is we're going to head towards... So we're going to try and head towards where I had Thandi, or where we had Thandi last night already, but I want to head towards where she came out in case she headed back that way. But Rebecca, in final control, wants to know about frogs, and she thought frogs bounce and hop. Well, frogs don't bounce, Rebecca, but they do hop, you're right. But why is this frog walking? Well, bushveld rain frogs, because of their build and their size and the fact that they are so round, they are not able to actually jump or to hop. They have to walk because their legs are not big enough and strong enough to propel such a large body into the air. And so they are walking frogs, they are not jumping frogs. There is different types of frogs out here, and the rain frogs generally are individuals that walk and crawl rather than actually hop. So apparently Rebecca's mind has been blown. There we go, insert emoji apparently. So she is completely mind blown by the fact that frogs can walk. It's amazing, isn't it, Rebecca? And if you're ready for this one, there are also types of fish that can walk too. There we go. It's not a lie, Rebecca, it's a real deal. It really is like that. There are certain types of fish that will walk, including catfish, which we see here at Chitwa. So Rebecca says she once made a bet that if a fish could walk, she would get a tattoo. So Rebecca, when are you sea anchor? No, so we're not going to get a sea anchor. What are you going to get, Rebecca? Fish then? A walking fish, a catfish. Maybe you should get a walking fish, and then you'll always remind you that a mermaid. Okay, well, are you going to get Ariel with in the crab from the mermaid? She wants just a Little Mermaid because it's together, and she's combining the two. Mind her.
Oh my goodness, apologies everybody. Well, we're hoping to find you a giraffe. We're going to get another bash. And we haven't seen giraffe in such a long time. Well, we had one the other night and it was full moon, which was quite cool to see on Chitwa. Although it's a friend that we're familiar with. We know this giraffe. We can see him. Oh, there he is. I was looking at a tree. He's actually just around this corner. Let's hope that our signal's going to hold. Okay, and I don't want to scare him. I'm going to go slowly through the puddle.
Well, we've caught up with Hukumuri again. The warthog we can't see, but obviously he can. But you can hear the birds are starting to wake up, which could be a little bit of a problem for him. You can see he's still in stalk mode, but I think that the pigs are probably 50 meters away from where he's looking, behind some thickets that we can't really see through. But he's showing incredible patience in hunting these pigs. Just look at that. So slowly stalking. Now, after the rain said, a leopard's scent marks will be washed away. So quite often they will re-scent mark their sort of boundaries and main areas. But as you remember, their scent mark doesn't last forever. So they do have to keep remarking it. So we're not 100% sure where the pigs are. But from his body language, he's getting closer, but not that close just yet. Now watch how he steps. Now he puts his front foot down, and the next step he takes, he'll put his back foot right in the exact same spot. All the birds starting to wake up. I'm just trying to check if I can see the pigs still. So I'm not sure whether he can see them or he's following their scent trail at the moment. See, watch how he puts his back foot exactly where his front foot was. Oh. Craig, I'm not sure whether warthogs see in colour. Leopards see in sort of different shades of bluey, grey, greeny, but not real colour. Their eyes are designed to pick up movement. And it also enables them to have good night vision. They do see certain colours, but not many. leopards are opportunists like all cats, so they will hunt at any opportunity, Catherine. Okay, we need to move again, and as I say, we're keeping our distances not to interfere, so we're trying to stay quite far away and on the wide sort of angle. And he's going into some thick stuff there now. Whoopsie. Oh. He's just popped out again. Somewhere in there. Okay, I'm still going to have to move. So while we move, let's go across to Tristan, who was talking about walking fish.
Well, I was talking about walking fish. We've moved on from there now. Vim and I are having a little giggle at a track that Brent did yesterday. That was Hukumuri's track. And basically, apparently, what it was that Hukumuri had gotten to a position where I also can hear a squirrel alarm calling, so I thought I'll just stop here quickly. But basically, Hukumuri had obviously sat down on the road, and when I say sat down, he kind of kept his front legs straight and then just kind of plonked his bum down. And so when you get a track like that, you'll often get the two front paws kind of side by side, and then you get the long back part of the leg coming down, and it kind of looks very, very cool to see it like that. And sometimes you'll even get the tail shape. But VM was telling me that yesterday in the track that you could even see the two little soft parts of where his testes had also kind of plonked down, and so it was 4 feet and two little testes on the sand, which I think is very, very funny. And I was wondering why they didn't take a photograph of it, because I think it's probably the first time that I've heard that you can actually see his testes in the track as well, which is quite funny. Anyway, squirrels have stopped alarm calling. I thought they might have alarm called more, and there's lots of things around, and this is the area exactly where Thandi was yesterday the whole day, and where she kind of came out before we found her in the afternoon. So I want to double check to see if she maybe come back into this area. I don't think so. Well, I don't think we're going to find tracks, because I think she might have come here early in the morning, but maybe, you never know. Hopefully there's some tracks out on top of the rain that will help us. It's going to be very difficult to find her if she hasn't walked after the rain, but let's give it a bash and see. You can't win if you don't roll the dice, or so they say, something along those lines. You never know unless you roll the dice. Now I just want to check at Wari Pan up ahead here. While I do that, let's send you back across to Taylor, who hopefully has still got signal this time.
We have, and then it disappears, and then we have it, and then it disappears again. We did also have a giraffe, and he disappeared while we were trying to find signal, which was lots of fun. Silly giraffe. Now, Rabbi, I can't say that I've ever found hello birds. Can't say that I've ever found a new species of animal while I've been on game drive, but I suppose it can happen. Probably not with mammals, but things like insects one would pop up. Brent found an interesting spider the other day that I don't think had been recorded in this area, and so that was quite cool. Or there were very few of them recorded. I didn't actually even get to see a picture of it. I will have to ask him to show me one. But these are crested francolins. They've already been discovered. They're very busy. Everybody's out, like we said, drying their feathers. We've been seeing loads and loads and loads of birds today. Some really nice ones. I also just saw a chugger, but it wouldn't sit still. We've been seeing some chin spot batises. Lots of hornbills out in the road, feasting on termites. And I reckon that's what these francolins are also looking for. Perhaps some termites, because they'll be very busy. The ground will be nice and soft, and it's nice and cool. It's a nice day to sort of be working. I think they're wondering, what on earth are we looking at? Why have we stopped? Have we seen something else that they haven't seen just yet? Whenever a vehicle stops, the animals always look at you, especially if it's a prey species. They look at you quite suspiciously, as if to say, is it me you're looking for? Something along those lines. Anyways, no, we're not winning the safari today. Oh. Perhaps this bird thinks differently. Oh, those are other francolins calling. They're coming back this way. Let's see if they're going to come right up to the car. Oh, yeah, they're running towards us. Where are you going to go? They're maybe about 5 meters away from the vehicle now. Are you going to go back to where those other birds are? They're fairly gregarious. You normally see them in flocks. I don't know what they're doing, Rebecca. They were listening to the other crested francolins chirping, and now I think they want to go to them. But if I start my car, I'm going to chase them away. So I'm hoping that they're just going to walk right past us. Come on. You can see those big spurs on the back of their legs. And now we know that these are francolins because they only have one set of spurs, whereas a spur fowl has got a double set. Wait, that was lovely. Thank you very much. I think you mistook me or something. What I was trying to say is I think that they thought I was James Henry because the birds always do that. Or all the animals always defecate for James. Mama, I don't think anybody enjoys my singing. I don't even enjoy my singing. I've got to put my headphones in so I can't hear myself when I sing. So we won't be doing too much more of that. But you can still see their feathers are still fairly damp. Now they're quite fluffed out at the moment. I think they're trying to dry themselves. So wisteria, yeah, their legs don't really look like they're in proportion, hey? What about when you look at something like a black-winged stilt, which has got the tiniest, thinnest, longest legs, and it's got a relatively big body too. It does look a bit strange. It does look a bit out of proportion. But I promise you those little legs will do these birds perfectly. I think they've also just fluffed themselves out quite a bit. Now, I actually don't know what family chickens are in Helena. Or is it Helena with a K? Or Helena? Oh, there we go. Helena, sorry, not Helena. So I don't think that they're related to chickens. I mean, their closest relative will be spur fowls and things. They'll all be within the same group. At one point, spur fowl and francolin, there was no difference between the two. They were all called the same thing until someone went, hey, one's got a double pair of spurs and the other's only got a single set. And they went, oh, they're not the same. Right, thank you. They were very relaxed. It was nice. I think I basically showed you crested francolins every single day for the last week. Almost. So we're just having a little look around. It's starting to warm up now. I might actually have to remove the scarf in a bit. It's getting quite humid. The clouds are lifting. Don't know if we're going to have any more rain today. I would quite like it to rain throughout the day, though. I like rainy days because it gives me an excuse to not have to do anything and just be lazy. Okay. Now, things seem to have...
So we've lost sight of him again. We're just trying to sit patiently and see where he pops out. And he's sitting very quietly at the moment. Last place we saw him was just in here somewhere. It's always quite a challenging thing to make sure you keep a respectful distance as to not disturb nature's happenings, and to try to keep an eye on the cat, especially in this type of area where it's quite thick. Just keeping a very careful lookout. And let's just try a little bit further forward. Now, as far as we know, Cobalt, Hukumuri is mated with Shidulu. I'm not sure about any other leopards. Tristan might have an idea on that. Where are you hiding, Huku? The last spots I saw him was quite far this way. He does do those little jogs when he has the opportunity to catch up the ground between him and the potential prey. Where's that other termite mound? It's down there. So the last place we spotted him was around here. Somewhere right here. We could just see him sneaking. I'm just being quiet and concentrating on trying to find him again and still make sure I'm not in a position that might give away his position or spook the warthogs. So I think it was this little gap here where I saw him last, through there. Carefully around here. So we're going very, very slowly. I think he's actually past here. I think he did one of his little jogs. Okay. Just to keep checking through here, Craig. Oh, I got attacked. Where did it go, Craig? Did you see where it landed? On my shoulder. It was sitting on my monitor. There we go. Hello, little friend. We've picked up on our adventures. Now, it looks like a little leaf hopper doing a little dance. Now, what I'm going to try to do is put him on the dashboard. Oh, where'd he go? Sounded like he went up. So I was going to show you him quickly there because let's see if he fell down again. No. So certain grass species don't have grasshopper species don't have wings. Others do. I'm just going to sit still here for a little bit. Try to think about where to go next. And as I say, it's a very fine line between pushing animals to get the visuals and interfering in what happens. So we would always rather err on the side of caution when it comes to that. I'd rather sit still, move very slowly, and not disturb the animals, or disturb them as little as possible. Oh, he came back. Well done, Craig. Well, where'd he go? Corin, the warthogs went into some very thick stuff, and if I had to drive to where the warthogs were, I would spook them. So they went in just over here, and it's quite thick in there, so I don't want to spook the warthogs. Well, this grasshopper is proving to be quite a tricky character. Oh, there we go. Okay, now, don't jump. Calm down. It's all okay. There we go. So you can see, as I call it, a leaf hopper. Now, this grasshopper doesn't have any wings. Now, a lot of grasshopper species rely on wings. Now, there's various different reasons. This grasshopper probably relies far more on its camouflage to evade being eaten, whilst other grasshoppers rely on flash coloration and wings, so they'll jump with those powerful back legs and then leap somewhere else, and they flash bright red and yellow in their wings, and then they go flat. Okay, isn't that cool? Well, hopefully you're going to bring us some good leopard luck, little hopper. Now, not only do we have grasshoppers, of course we also have locusts as well, Christopher. So yes, we do have both.